He stole her. The president said those three words today aboard Air Force One on the way back from golfing in Scotland. That's a matter of fact. He stole her. What he meant by those words is open to interpretation. And because the he refers to his former friend, sex predator Jeffrey Epstein, and the her is one of many underage women Epstein allegedly victimized, the president's words today also invite scrutiny. They're part of his new explanation for why he broke off a long and some say warm friendship with Epstein, which the president first rolled out yesterday. He did it with Britain's prime minister right next to him, sitting expressionless while he weighed in on the sex offender he wishes people would stop talking about so much, and Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's accomplice in the recruiting, grooming, and trafficking of underage young women as virtual sex slaves. An obscene number of them.
Christ.
3 weeks ago yesterday.
Bro is just going balls deep into that shit. God damn.
In the memo that touched off this current uproar, the Justice Department estimated the number of Epstein's victims at more than 1,000. Keep that in mind as you listen to the president.
I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate.
The question that, of course, raised is what was inappropriate? Did then citizen Trump, for example, get wind of Epstein's inappropriate contact with minors? After all, he did tell New York Magazine back in 2002, quote, "It is even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side."
Ooh,
is that the kind?
That's rough. Oh, that must be a punch in the gut. Oof.
Of inappropriate he means? Because that would certainly put someone beyond the pale for most people. Actually, no. Was it that he merely came to believe that his old pal was, quote, being a creep, as a White House statement phrased last week? Because, again, it would be totally understandable for anyone to be put off by even a hint of that. Except, no. It wasn't that kind of inappropriate either by the president's lights. Okay. Not even the kind of inappropriate we were previously led to believe caused the falling out, namely Epstein outbidding him for a piece of Palm Beach property, which might be considered beyond the pale in some circles. But it wasn't that either. No. Here is why the president said he broke it off with the creepy, possibly property poaching, sex offender.
This is either going to be really fucking condemning, or this is going to be really fucking stupid.
Offending victimizer of allegedly more than 1,000 human beings.
He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that work for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again. And I threw him out of the place.
So
the truth is,
stopped being friends with Jeffrey Epstein because he stole employees from Trump. Wow. Man. If that don't tell you a whole bunch, I don't know what will.
According to the president, Jeffrey Epstein poached employees. A well-known bridge too far for any sex offender. The president, though, left out the sex offender part. And he did the same today, even when prompted.
You said yesterday your falling out with Jeffrey Epstein was over him taking some of the workers from your business. But your administration in the past, you threw him out because he was a creep. So can you explain that discrepancy?
Oh, man. Now we've got conflicting stories, boys. Oh, no. Oh, no. Just like the lies. Remember, here's the word of wisdom to anyone watching. If you make up one lie, you got to come up with 50 more to cover your ass.
Thing, you know, sort of a little bit of the same thing. But
that's not even remotely the same thing. Kicking somebody out because they're a creep and kicking somebody out because they're hiring people from your administration are two completely different fucking things. What?
People that work for me, and I told him don't do it anymore, and he did it, and I said, stay the hell out of here.
Again, the president could have mentioned something about why he considered Jeffrey Epstein a creep, perhaps even the crimes he pleaded guilty to and the many more he was charged with before he died. He might have said a word or two about the role his accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell played. She is now appealing her conviction for her role.
He could be saying a lot, but he's not, because he's trying to sweep this under the rug and run as far away from it as he can.
Epstein's crimes, especially when, as you'll hear in this next extended clip, one of those victims may have been a then underage Trump spa attendant named Virginia Roberts, later Jeffrey. She said she was recruited by Maxwell, then forced by her and Epstein to have sex with a series of famous men, including, she said, Britain's Prince Andrew, which he denies. In 2021,
Like
the
I
two
said,
settled her civil
boys,
law.
what did I say? I said, when this started happening, whenever he denied these files existed, that victims are going to start coming forward. Because they're going to have to put themselves in the light to make this come to light. And guess what's fucking happening? Big fucking surprise. The victims they're trying to protect want to see these fucks brought to justice. Who would have thought?
Lawsuit against him in the matter out of court. Miss Giuffre died by suicide in April. The president did not mention that today.
Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. Just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Some of them.
Were some of them young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women?
What did they do?
In the spa.
In the spa?
Yeah, it's people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons that include Virginia Jeffrey?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah.
I bet.
He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know.
There is that sentence, he stole her, which, if it doesn't say enough already, also speaks loudly by omission. He says nothing about what happened to her, only what happened to him. To the president's way of thinking, if his words are to be believed, that was Jeffrey Epstein's cardinal sin, taking something, in this case, a human being who belonged to him. He stole her. Now, setting that aside for a moment, this new justification for the breakup raises questions as well about the timeline for this all. Giuffre fell into Epstein's orbit in 2000, yet 2 years later, in that New York Magazine piece in which he talked about Epstein liking young women, the president also called him a terrific guy and a lot of fun to be with. A year after that, he was, according to Wall Street Journal, sending Epstein...
This guy is fucking serving Trump up on a silver plate. Holy shit. Get him!
50th birthday wishes, running again, according to the Journal. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. The president both denies sending that and is suing the paper over its reporting. Another year later, in 2004, the two battled over a piece of real estate and reportedly broke ties after that, with no word until yesterday of this new explanation for the falling out, and continuing silence about what his old friend did to anyone not named Donald Trump. Meantime, Ghislaine Maxwell is now offering to cooperate and testify before Congress, but with major conditions, including immunity. That's according to a list of her demands sent to the House Oversight Committee by her attorneys. A committee spokesperson today rejected the idea of giving Maxwell immunity. My next guest is a trauma therapist certified in domestic and sexual violence who has worked with a number of Jeffrey Epstein's victims over the years from both the Florida and New York cases, starting when they were as young as 18 years old and in some cases continuing to this day. Randy Kogan joins me now.
Man.
Randy, nice to see you.
So many people. Jesus Christ.
How have your clients been holding up with the Epstein story once again being so prominent in the news?
They're feeling violated again. They feeling re-victimized again. They are not given the opportunity to heal in private. Everywhere they look, it's on their phone, whether it's a headline, whether it's social media, and they feel like
Number one Google trending, baby. Keep pushing.
Nowhere to escape. They can't find peace to heal.
What was your reaction to the president's comments today suggesting that Epstein, quote...
I do feel very, very sorry for the victims that have to open their phones and deal with this. I'm very sorry that you have to deal with this. I really am. Like, no one should have to deal with this, and I'm really sorry that you the victims have to.
Stole employees from him. He was specifically asked about Virginia Giuffre, a young woman and sex trafficking victim of Epstein's who died by suicide earlier this year.
Virginia Giuffre's death really hit a number of the survivors hard because she represented a voice that they didn't have at the time. So it was quite impactful when Virginia took her life. As time went on, they felt like they're being constantly re-victimized over and over again when people are having these conversations that don't revolve around justice. Because they don't see how this is justice, how Epstein is back in the news again. What is it all for? And how does it help them? Nobody is humanizing these survivors. And they're constantly suffering emotionally, mentally, every time he is brought up again.
How devastating would it be for your patients if Ghislaine Maxwell were to be given a pardon?
I really don't like the way she's wording this. The way she's talking, it makes it seem like she's trying to shut this down. But the victims themselves are coming forward now and saying they want to see justice for this. So, like, I wonder how much they paid her to say this.
Or some kind of other deal?
It would emotionally destroy them. One of my clients today, she's a survivor, and she said, if Ghislaine Maxwell gets out and is given immunity, I have no more faith.
I don't think that they should make a deal with this woman. Absolutely not. I agree with that. They should keep her in the deepest, darkest hole imaginable. But I also think that they should release these files so that way we can bring justice to the cocksuckers that did this.
More faith.
100%.
You talked about the failure to humanize the victims. When you hear language like the president today saying he stole employees, he stole her. Virginia Giuffre is one of the employees that President Trump said Epstein stole.
I think that this is crazy. I wouldn't ask somebody like this because all you can do is logically come up with how you think they feel. You don't know how they feel. I don't really give a shit what your PhD says. You don't know what they feel. Obviously, they feel a type of way, and you know why? Because they're fucking coming forward and talking about it. That's why. They're actually talking about it. They want to see justice. That's what they want.